Hi everyone, and welcome to video 4 of module 1. In this video we're going to be looking at how we can use the particles in Tyflow, the Tyflow plugin, to create particles that follow a path. So the first step is by going into our create little tab here in our command panel. We're going to go into our standard primitives and insert this little Tyflow button right here, and after we do that we're going to go into our helpers little button and click on the Tyflow option here, and then by selecting the Ty icon button we're just going to insert that here. And just to make this work for our path following example, we're just going to select our Ty icon, and using the move command we're just going to move that up quite a little bit. There we go, like so. So we have something that looks like this. What we're going to do now is create the actual path that we want our particles to follow. So if we go into our geometry splines section of our command panel, we can choose any of these kind of spline shapes that our particles will follow. To do something quite fun, we might use the star for our particles to follow. That could look quite cool. So we'll select the star option here, and we're just going to draw a star here, like so. And I might just move that to be in the center of our plane. And so that looks a bit cooler. Let's rotate that using the rotate button here. And I'm just going to rotate that to be upwards like this. Like so. So that way when we create our particles that travel, we'll be able to see it on a nice kind of flat axis like this. And we're just going to move the star so that it's a little more directly underneath this Ty icon symbol here. So like so. We'll move it up slightly like this. Great. And we'll move it further back. Cool, so we just set it up quite well. So to begin creating the sequence of our Tyflow commands, we're going to select the little Tyflow symbol here, like so. And then we're going to go into our Modify tab here. And in the Modify tab command panel here, we're going to go Open Editor. And this will take us to our awesome little screen, which will allow us to edit the kind of events that are happening here in our 3ds Max window. So the first thing we're going to want to do in our Tyflow editor is create a new event, and start this off by using the birth event here. So we're going to left mouse click and drag that into our screen here. Once you put that there, this little command or event sequence thing comes up, and this allows us to begin our, I guess, flowchart or sequence of events for these particles that will follow the spline of this star. So what we want our birth to do as well is emit particles from 0 to 50, and a total of, so here is the per frame kind of section, and we're going to do a total of 2 per frame. So the more you do per frame, the more particles that will come out, and we can probably play around with this later on too to show the difference between these kind of settings. So the next thing we're going to want to do is add the position icon option to our first event here, and we're going to insert that underneath the birth part of our event. So the idea is that when Tyflow reads through all these little settings that we've added, it will read them in the order that we place them here. So it's important that we place things in the correct order, and you can kind of trial and error the order of things to see the effect that they have in Tyflow in this kind of animation sequence. So position icon, we're going to pick, and we're going to select this icon here. So now it's been selected because that's our Ty icon. And then we're going to add a speed little modifier to our event and position that underneath the speed icon. And for the speed, we're going to choose a long icon arrow. which is this one here. So we go pick and we'll select our icon arrow. So what I've just done here as well is I've just made this total to be 200 particles per keyframe. So that just works a little better in terms of the amount of particles that I have coming out. So by setting the birth settings, by positioning our icon to be this surface here, and by adding the speed to be along the icon direction arrow, once we go through down here in our keyframe section and we click and drag, we can see how this process goes. So there's pretty cool stuff already happening, but currently it's not following our star, so we'll get there. So what we wanted to do now is, so the particles look like this at the moment, we're going to actually add a shape to them, so they've got some kind of more geometric substance to them. So we've got the shape option here. We're going to left mouse click and drag that underneath speed. And we're going to choose the shape that we want for our particles. So we'll choose 3D. And let's see what we can choose here. We can choose quite a few things. We might just choose a geosphere. So once we've chosen our desired shape, we're going to go to the display part of our event. And we're going to go type. We're going to choose geometry. And as we click this, our spheres are now showing up. Our geospheres are showing, which is fantastic. So now that our geometry is displayed, by being back in shape, we can change the scale of our shape as well. So if we click on size, we can change that here. So we can go maybe 200% and make those much bigger. We can see how big it is going to be on here. So let's make them a little bit bigger. I'll make it 250. And the variation will change the variation in sizing of all these spheres. So if we did something like 50% variation, you can see how we have varying sizes of our spheres. That makes things a lot more interesting for us. So let's even make that a bit bigger. And 300% for the size. There we go. So if we now had a look at what this looks like, you've got all different sized spheres coming out of this little tie icon, which is quite fun. They kind of look like bubbles in this instance, which is quite cool. And to add some more kind of physics elements to this, we're going to make sure that these are physics items so that they actually can interact with each other. So we're going to add our physics shape option, this one here, and apply that underneath the shape, so that when things fall, they fall like so, and they react with the surface. So as we're adding more events or more kind of settings to this event, things can get a bit laggy the first time you run them, but then they'll go a little, then they'll eventually play correctly. So if we hit play, just a lot more of a natural kind of progression of events. So by adding the physics, I guess, modifier to this event, things look a lot more realistic. So now what we're going to do is we've pretty much set up our little geosphere elements really well. So we're on to the next step now, which is to actually make them follow a path. We're going to add the path follow modifier.